Hi everybody, and welcome to our webinar this afternoon or this morning or perhaps even this evening, depending where you are located in the world. So the focus of our webinar today is Costa Rica a good investment opportunity? Now, for those of you who haven't attended a webinar before, the format is as follows. I'll be doing the talking we will have a question and answer session at the end of the webinar. Now, if you look on the right-hand side of your screen, there is an option to ask questions throughout the course of the webinar. And what I would suggest is that if there's any area that I don't cover properly or well, or not in enough detail, and any questions come to mind during the course of the webinar, please feel free to type any questions that you have into that area of the question and answer box, and I will get to as many of those questions as I can at the end of the webinar. And as I said, we will have a question and answer session at the end of the webinar, and I will get to as many questions as I possibly can. So we do run fairly regular webinars, and if you look on our website, www.costaricainvest.ie, we do advertise upcoming webinars on the front of the website there. If you look on the right-hand side of our website in the free downloads and media area, you can see recordings of previous webinars. Those are our contact details there. Now, in addition to handling real estate and investment opportunities in Costa Rica, of course, we handle travel to Costa Rica as well. And if you plan to travel to Costa Rica to look at one of our investment opportunities or to look at some real estate, we'd be delighted to help you with travel, tours, accommodation, and car hire. And again, if you look on the front page of our website, on the left-hand side, you'll see a drop-down menu there where you can select a Travel to Costa Rica button, and that will bring you to a page with some suggestions of things that you might like to do, and that will go directly to our travel team who will be in contact with you. Now, we do run very specific tours of Costa Rica, and those tours are designed to answer three questions. Number one, is Costa Rica for you? Number two, is a specific area of Costa Rica the ideal area for you to have a home or a property in? And number three, which particular property suits your needs? Those are 5-day tours of Costa Rica. So, a little bit about me. My name is James Cahill. My company is Costa Rica Invest. We're an international sales and marketing company, and we've specialized for the last 6 years in selling Costa Rican investments. We now have consultants working in Canada, the USA, United Kingdom, Spain, Ireland, UK, United Arab Emirates, and of course in Costa Rica. We have offices in Ireland, and we now have 2 offices in Costa Rica as well, one in San Jose in the capital and one in Quepos, which is in the Central Pacific on the beach. We've been involved specifically in real estate and ecological hybrid investments and development opportunities for all of those years. The companies that we choose to work with have a very high level of success. We're sticklers for detail and always do a high level of due diligence on any project or any opportunity that we choose to invest. In addition to selling, we're a referral service for all things Costa Rica, and we can assist you with legalities, immigration, travel, investment, and also banking. So let's move on to the question at hand, which is Costa Rica a good investment opportunity? So we're going to talk today a little bit about Costa Rica, obviously. We'll cover the economy of Costa Rica. We'll talk about real estate in Costa Rica. So where is Costa Rica? Well, I think most of you probably know already, Costa Rica is in Central America. It is the oldest and most stable democracy in Central and Southern America. It has more teachers than policemen, and it has no army. It's often referred to as the Switzerland of Central America, and it has a literacy rate of 96%. This year, they're going to spend more than 25% of their entire national budget on education. Now, Costa Rica has a fantastic climate. It's tropical year-round, and it has many microclimates. People in Costa Rica live longer than most other places in the Western Hemisphere, living to an average of 79 years of age. Costa Rica is located at the intersection of 2 very large continents and contains more than 5% of the world's biodiversity. And that's an incredible figure when you think about it. That's 1 in 20 of every living thing on this planet lives in a small country in Central America called Costa Rica. Costa Rica also ranks very highly in a number of polls. They're currently ranked fifth in the world in terms of environmental performance, and that study is carried out yearly by Yale University. It's the seventh most politically and socially stable country in the world, and that study is carried out by the Economist Intelligence Unit. And again, this is a figure or a fact that often shocks people. They can't believe that the seventh most politically and socially stable country in the world is located in Central America, but it is, and that country is Costa Rica. Costa Rica ranks number 1 in the Happy Planet Index. Now, the Happy Planet Index is a study carried out every year by the New Economics Foundation. And it compares two things. It compares the happiness of a nation, and Costa Rica has the happiest population in the world according to a Gallup World Poll, and the damage that they do to the environment in the pursuit of that happiness. So basically, Costa Rica has a very happy population doing very little damage to the environment. There is an excellent video by Nick Marks from the NEF, or New Economics Foundation, on TED Talks, and I will send everybody a copy of that video after this. Costa Rica is the most prosperous country in Latin America, and that study is carried out yearly by the Legatum Prosperity Index. Costa Rica has preserved more than 25% of its surface area as natural park and forest reserve never to be developed, and it plans to be carbon neutral as a nation by 2021, which is the 200th anniversary of their independence. More than 95% of Costa Rica's energy requirements come from renewable resources. 20 years ago, they invested hugely in hydroelectric, wind and geothermal power. At the time, other countries thought they were crazy. Oil was cheap and these technologies were by comparison very expensive. Now 20 years later, they produce 95% of their energy from these renewable resources, and other countries look to Costa Rica and the inspired decisions that they made 20 years ago. So Costa Rica may be a small country, but it's got very big goals. They plan, as I mentioned, to be carbon neutral by 2021, and they plan to achieve this through various channels, including the planting of more trees. Last year, they planted 7 million trees. That's more per head of population than anywhere else in the world. But to achieve this carbon neutrality, they're going to have to plant even more trees and preserve more land, and this is going to add to the value of existing development land in Costa Rica. Costa Rica, of course, is a very attractive tourist destination. And the tourism industry in Costa Rica is worth over $2 billion per year to the Costa Rican economy, and they intend to grow that further. And of course, they're focusing very much on ecotourism. And tourism, of course, in Costa Rica is booming. Just look at the TV. Where do all the celebs go on holiday? Costa Rica. But Costa Rica is not interested in the once-off or one-off visitor. They want people to come again and again, and preferably own a home in Costa Rica. And so those dollars are spent in Costa Rica rather than elsewhere in the world. To do this, they've made the process of emigrating to Costa Rica very straightforward. You and I have the same land and property ownership rights as a Costa Rican citizen, and that's enshrined in the Costa Rican Constitution. You and I can own and buy and sell property in Costa Rica without restriction, and this makes Costa Rica very different to many of its neighbors, where you can't own property unless you have local partners or very complex structures. Costa Rica is quite different. You and I can own and buy and sell property in Costa Rica without restriction. And the exodus has already begun. More than 1% of the population is already North American expatriates and retirees, and many more are flocking southward daily to take advantage of the Costa Rican lifestyle. And why are they coming to Costa Rica? Well, a lower cost of living, stability, a stable political environment, access to great healthcare, and a fantastic climate. Cost of living in Costa Rica is about 50% of the same cost of living in the USA, and healthcare is a fraction of the price. In fact, so much so that medical tourism is now a booming business in Costa Rica. So can you imagine living in a beautiful climate, in a safe place, with great healthcare, for a fraction of your current cost of living? But Costa Rica is not just a pretty place to sit on the beach. Costa Rica has diversified its economy and now generates a large portion of its revenue through high-tech medical and other manufacturing industries. Companies like Microsoft, Dell, Hewlett-Packard, Intel, Johnson & Johnson have their Central and Southern American headquarters in Costa Rica. And why are they located in and locating in Costa Rica? Well, again, it's a combination of political stability, lucrative tax breaks, a highly educated workforce, and low labor costs. These companies have invested billions of dollars in Costa Rica. But the taxation benefits don't just apply to multinationals. Costa Rica is a personal tax haven, and with planning, you can achieve a very, very low or even a no tax situation for yourself and your family. So to sum it up, Costa Rica is very business friendly. It has huge eco aspirations. It's stable, safe, and has excellent healthcare. Let's see what the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, has to say about Costa Rica. They said that the Costa Rican economy grew at 4.5% per annum from 2010 through 2012. And there's not many economies in the world that can boast that type of performance over that period of time. And here's what the IMF said in March of this year, March 2013. They said that Costa Rica is a beacon of political stability and social inclusion. The country's high per capita income and impressive social indicators attest to its accomplishments in fostering strong and inclusive economic growth. Costa Rica's resilience in the aftermath of the global financial crisis of 2008 and 2009 was also an important achievement. Economic growth has rebounded strongly and is projected to continue, while inflation has fallen to the lowest level in many years. And they continued by saying that overall, Costa Rica is well placed to maintain vigorous growth in a context of macroeconomic stability. The IMF will continue supporting the authorities in their efforts to achieve these objectives. So let's talk a little bit about real estate in Costa Rica. There are two big drivers which I think are going to affect land prices over the next 5 to 10 years. First of which is baby boomer retirees. Over 100 million baby boomers are going to retire over the next decade. Now, some estimates suggest that up to 10% will seek to retire abroad. And when they look to retire abroad, what are they going to look for? Well, they're going to look for safety, good climate, quality healthcare, and a lower cost of living. Now, Costa Rica ticks all of these boxes. But of course, Costa Rica couldn't possibly take 10 million retirees. It only has a population of 4 million. But a very significant number of them will look to Costa Rica to retire and have a second home. And these boomers, as a demographic unit, are armed with more money than at any time in the history of the world. This spike in demand is ultimately going to affect and push up property prices. Second big driver for land price growth is Costa Rica's eco plans. I mentioned earlier their plan to be carbon neutral as a nation by 2021, and the fact that they plan that already 25% of the country is zoned as natural park and forest reserve. The aspiration to be carbon neutral means that more land will have to be zoned as natural park and more trees planted. And this is going to reduce the amount of available development land, putting upward pressure on the price of existing development land. So what's happening? We've got increasing demand and reducing supply. And economics tell us that means increasing prices. So as an investment, land or property in Costa Rica in the right locations is a good investment. So is Costa Rica a good investment opportunity? Well, I certainly believe it is. And now let's move on and talk about one of our projects, Nature Walk. Now, we will have a very special offer for the attendees, only for the attendees at this webinar. And I will mention it at the end of this little presentation about Nature Walk. So Nature Walk is an ecological mountain resort community located in the Central Pacific area of Costa Rica. The Central Pacific area is the best developed with the best infrastructure, and the recently opened Autoroute del Sol, which opened at the beginning of 2012, has reduced driving time from San Jose to the Central Pacific to about an hour and a quarter. It used to take about 3 hours to drive from San Jose to the Central Pacific. Now you can do it in about an hour and a quarter. And Nature Walk is a very interesting opportunity because it is a master plan development, but it combines land with valuable agricultural crops. So in Nature Walk, you can have a home, and the land on which your home sits can produce you an income. So if you plan to have a second home in Costa Rica, why not have a home that's producing you an income? Of course, you can, if you're not using the home yourself, you can rent it out, and there is a rental pool for that. If you're a pure investor, why not invest in Nature Walk land, benefit from the increasing capital value of the land, but in the meanwhile benefit from the crops growing on the land? Nature Walk 1 is 200 acres in total. And I should mention that Nature Walk as a project is quite large, runs to nearly 1,200 acres. There are 3 sections to the project: Nature Walk 1, Nature Walk 2, and Nature Walk 3. The projects are contiguous. They touch one another. So it's one very large master plan development. But in each section of Nature Walk, there are different crops growing and different returns available. So in Nature Walk 1, there is teak growing on development lots. And that teak is 14 years of age. The teak will be ready from 20 years of age and upwards. So that's 6 years from now. So you could have a home in Nature Walk 1 on a teak lot and get a nice capital return in 6 years' time. How much is the capital return? Well, we would expect at today's teak prices that the return from your teak on the land at harvest in 6 years will cover the cost of the purchase of the lot. So that's a nice way to structure having a home in Costa Rica. Here you can see just some of the teak growing on some of the lots in Nature Walk 1. Vanilla is the second most expensive spice in the world, and it grows wild in Nature Walk. Here you can see Alberto, the farm manager, looking at some wild vanilla growing in Nature Walk. And what you can do in Nature Walk 1, where the teak is that you can intercrop your teak with vanilla. Vanilla will provide you with a yearly income. So now you can have a situation where the vanilla provides you with a yearly income, the teak provides you with a lump sum income at harvest, and you can have a home on a beautiful lot in Nature Walk. Here you can see some vanilla being cured or dried prior to sale. That's just a small amount of vanilla there. Nature Walk 2 combines beautiful development lots with crops which produce an yearly income. There are a range of crops available: jatropha, maca-uba, coffee, and pineapple. We would expect the returns from those crops to cover the cost of a purchase of a lot in Nature Walk 2 in about 7 years. So again, you can have a beautiful lot overlooking your land and have a fully managed crop on that land, and the returns from those crops we would expect to cover the original cost of purchase of your lot in about 7 years' time. Right now in Nature Walk, it's almost one of the busiest times of the year because this is the junction between the dry season and the rainy season, and so there's lots and lots of planting going on. There you can see some roads being constructed. Nature Walk 3 is a very, very interesting opportunity because it combines nampi, which is taro, with teak. And so you've got 2 crops growing on your land. The nampi that you can see in the picture there produces you a yearly income. In fact, almost a twice yearly income because you harvest the nampi every 7 to 8 months. And so the nampi produces you a yearly income, plus the teak will produce you a lump sum return at harvest. The teak in Nature Walk 3 is newly planted and so will not be ready to harvest for 17 years. However, in the interim period, the nampi will provide you with a yearly income. So again, very interesting opportunity there. Here you can see one of the Nature Walk donkeys assisting in the carrying of some coffee plants for planting in Nature Walk 2. So Nature Walk presents a very, very interesting opportunity. As a pure investor, you can have double return. You can have a return from land investment and also from commodity investment. As a homeowner or home builder in Nature Walk, you can have the returns from the commodities growing on your land and have a beautiful home in a beautiful location. Nature Walk is very ecological and developed on a very sustainable basis. We firmly believe that it is possible to be good to the environment and make a profit and have a beautiful home in Costa Rica. All of those things together can happen in Nature Walk. These are some images of Nature Walk 3, which you can see is quite hilly, but there are some beautiful home locations in Nature Walk 3. Here's a view from one of the lots in Nature Walk 3 overlooking one of the rivers in Nature Walk. This is the Tulin River. And the rivers in Nature Walk, there are 2 very large rivers in Nature Walk, the Tulin River and the Nature Walk River. And those rivers form a very important part of the adventure center that I'm going to talk about in a moment. The rivers are extremely healthy, and you can see there's one of the freshwater prawns or freshwater shrimps from one of the rivers in Nature Walk. They're caught on a daily basis, and as you can see, they grow to a very large size, almost like lobsters. Now, as I mentioned, there is an adventure center planned for Nature Walk, and part of that adventure center is the Eco Hotel. The Eco Hotel is located close to the adventure center and will provide accommodation for people availing of the adventure center. The adventure center comprises many different activities, including an equestrian center, and there are already Nature Walk horses. If you visit Nature Walk, you can opt to see Nature Walk on horseback, and here you can see some of the horses having a graze whilst some clients are taking in the views. I hasten to add the clients haven't fallen off the horses; they've got off the horses and are just taking a picture there. Of course, you can ride the horses through the river, and here you can see some visitors to Nature Walk riding down. Again, this is the Tulin River. So there are not many places where you can take advantage of that. The Tulin River, of course, is an important part of the Adventure Center and will provide water sports activities, canoeing, kayaking, rafting, tubing, and also stand-up paddleboarding. Also fishing and swimming. So lots of activities there. Throughout Nature Walk, there are many, many waterfalls, ranging from small waterfalls, like this one here, to much, much larger waterfalls. This waterfall is almost 100 meters high. And on the waterfalls, there are activities. Of course, you can swim in the pools below the waterfalls, but there's waterfall rappelling as well for the more adventurous amongst us. And again, here's one of the larger waterfalls, not so steep, not quite so high, but quite a large waterfall. Nature Walk is already a center for mountain biking, and there are mountain biking races regularly in Nature Walk. And again, this is something that will be developed out further as Nature Walk progresses. There'll be a mountain spa, and again, this is related to the Eco Hotel in Nature Walk. Of course, you can have a home in Nature Walk, and PRG, the developers, have a range of home designs available. But of course, these home designs range from modular homes beginning at just $55,000 US. That's for a small studio modular home, ranging through a whole range of designs right up to bespoke homes, which they will design and build for you according to your specific requirements. Here you can see just some of the images, some of the designs, some of the homes that are available in Nature Walk. But of course, there are a range of designs available, and you can have any of those homes. For those of you that are located in Canada, we also have a relationship with Lindell Homes, and Lindell Homes will shortly begin construction of a small group of 6 homes initially in Nature Walk. Now, as I mentioned, we do have a special offer for those of you who are attending this particular webinar and are on this webinar now. Well, first of all, I want to tell you about our Fly and Buy program to Nature Walk. Fly and Buy program is very straightforward. If you think that Nature Walk might be for you, simply talk to one of our consultants, discuss it, get the information you need, and if you like what you see, reserve a lot. The reservation is a 15% refundable deposit of the cost of the lot. Travel to Nature Walk, and if you like what you see and decide to proceed, then a contract is signed, and you will receive a $2,000 credit to assist in the cost of, or the cost that you've incurred in flying down and visiting. That's a $2,000 credit against the cost of the purchase of your lot. If you decide not to proceed for any reason, the 15% deposit is fully refundable, less a $250 contract issuing fee. So that's a very attractive opportunity and very straightforward fly and buy program in Nature Walk. Now, as I mentioned, the developer has promised a special offer to those that are on this webinar today, and that is as follows. Normally, when we purchase property in Costa Rica or own a home in Costa Rica, it makes sense to place that property in an LLC or limited liability company. There are a number of advantages to this. There are some taxation advantages. There's ease of sale advantages. If you hold the property in your own name, when you come to sell it, you need to transfer title, and that transferring of title takes about 6 to 8 weeks. If you hold it in a company, you're simply selling the shares in the company, and that process takes a couple of days. So there are a number of advantages to holding a property in an LLC. The normal cost of establishing an LLC is $850 US. For the attendees at this webinar, if you decide that Nature Walk is for you and register for the Buy and Fly program before next Thursday, which is 1 week from now, the developer will include a free LLC worth $850 for every lot that you purchase in Nature Walk. So if you decide to reserve one lot, you travel down, you like what you see, you decide to purchase it, the developer will pay for the setup of your LLC. In addition, you will receive the buy and fly program. So that would be worth, on the purchase of one lot, $2,000 plus $850 LLC to you. So that's an almost $3,000 saving to you. If you decided to purchase two lots, of course, he will pay for two LLCs. That's $1,700 saving plus your buy and fly program. So there's $2,000 plus $1,700, nearly a $4,000 saving. So a very attractive offer. So how do you take advantage of this offer? Well, it's very straightforward. You simply drop us an email to info@costaricainvest.ie or give us a call either on our European number, which you can see there, 3531-272-4184, or our US number 1-866-990-1123. But of course, if you're calling from the US, it's 866-990-1123. Just simply give us a call, drop us an email, tell us you're interested in the Fly and Buy program and taking advantage of this offer. We'll arrange to have a good long chat with you, send you all the information you need, and if by next Thursday you decide, yes, I think Costa Rica, or, well, Costa Rica, of course, but Nature Walk might be for me, then register for the Buy and Fly program, travel down to Costa Rica, see Nature Walk, enjoy it, love it, experience the experience of traveling to Nature Walk, and if you decide to go ahead, you receive not only the Fly and Buy advantage, but also an LLC for each lot that you decide to invest in. So now we'll move on to some questions and answers, and I see some questions are in already, so we'll get started on answering some of those.